Hey everyone, it's Steve again. I wanted to take a moment to talk about the emotional struggle that I went through during my kidney sickness. Now, if you recall, my decline in kidney function began in 2021, and at that time I was seen by a local nephrologist who started me on medication to help slow down the progression of my kidney disease. And that lasted for a little while, but I started to notice a lot of negative things happening with my body. For example, my legs would swell up with water each day, and I estimated that I was probably carrying about 5 pounds of water in each leg, and it was really uncomfortable. It would make my pants feel tight because my legs would swell up, and I would just feel really self-conscious about it. And playing tennis was really hard because I was always known for being really fast on the court. And having an extra 10 pounds of water in your legs doesn't really help a whole lot with that. It made it really hard for me to move, and it really affected my game and my psyche in a negative way. As my kidney disease progressed, my body was not able to process protein the way a normal person would. It was passing a lot of my protein out through my urine because it just was not being processed correctly. As a result, I began to lose muscle, and that was one of my trademarks. I spent a lot of time in the gym going through a bodybuilding regimen, and to now be faced with the challenge of not being able to maintain or gain muscle at all because of my kidney decline, it became a struggle for me to get in the gym because I knew that it was a losing battle. The harder I worked out and the more muscle I destroyed, the worse off I was because my body just simply couldn't rebuild it. So again, that was another blow to the psyche, and I really struggled with that because I knew that it was not something that was going to fix itself. I had to get something done to correct the course that my life was taking. My physical performance in the sports that I participated in and in the gym, really began to decline. And I knew that it was only a matter of time that I would not even be able to participate in those sports again. In the summer of 2022, I did play a lot of tennis and I continued to go to the gym, but my performance on the court was not anywhere near what it used to be. And I knew it. And I did share with everybody that I played with that I was sick. It's something I usually kept private, but it was just something I couldn't hide anymore. I tried to put up a good front, but you can only do that for so long. And it got to the point, and this was probably in September of 2022, that I just had to stop playing tennis. I couldn't move well on the court due to the water weight that I was carrying in my legs, and I just never felt energetic, and I could not perform at a level that I was used to or a level that other people were used to see me playing at. So I chose to stop playing in September, and I still haven't played since then. My plan is to return to the court as soon as I can get my leg strength back and develop some of the muscle that I had lost. So that really brought me down. I'm not a person that just likes to sit on the couch after work. I like to be active. I like to do as many things as I can to stay active. And this sickness took those two things away from me. The two things that I looked forward to the most as recreational activities that were going to both keep me feeling good, feeling strong, and keeping my mental state positive. So in October of 2022, that's when I started dialysis, and that was a huge blow to me, and I was quite honestly very, very depressed about that. I couldn't believe that I had gotten to that point, and it was a blow for sure. My first day at dialysis was scary. I looked around, and I don't mean this to sound negative, but I saw the people in that place and I couldn't believe that I belonged there. I know that sounds bad, but that's the way I felt, and I have to be honest about that. I couldn't believe that I had degraded to this point. Now, every day in dialysis was a struggle. Early on it was okay. I accepted my fate. I knew that I had to sit in that chair for 3 hours and go through the whole treatment process of filtering my blood. I didn't like it. I didn't feel like I belonged there, and I I guess the only thing that really kept me going was that I knew it was going to be a temporary solution just to keep me alive while waiting for my transplant. When I was at dialysis, every single time, I would get up at 5:15 in the morning and get myself off to the dialysis center to get in my chair by 6 o'clock. And most of the time it was an incredible struggle for me because I would get a lot of tightness in my glutes and in my legs because of the treatment. And there were times that I really, really wanted to just leave. I couldn't take the feeling that I was getting. I was so uncomfortable. I was squirming around. And it took everything that I had, all the mental fortitude that I had to sit in that chair. And it was a struggle. I'm not going to lie to you. It was tough. Now, early on, I felt pretty good after the treatments. And I think it's just that, my blood was so toxic that filtering process was like a night and day change to my body. And I was like, oh wow, this is kind of nice. That was only short-lived, however, because as time wore on and I lost more and more muscle and I wasn't as active, I think my muscles began to atrophy. And it was a struggle at times, late in my treatments, we're talking about into December, where I had trouble walking just because my legs were so weak, and I just never really felt like I had a good sense of balance because I always felt like I was just not quite altogether there. It was strange. I would get tired after treatments, which is normal, and I would feel okay, I guess, from the late afternoon of treatment day into the next day, but then your body kind of knows when it's time for your next treatment. I was going into the dialysis center Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and again, it was probably the toughest 4 months of my life. I just never felt like I needed to be there or should be there, but again, what kept me going was a couple of different things. I knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel with the transplant on the horizon, which ended up being on February 20th of 2023. But what this whole thing taught me is that I need to be open with the people that are around me. My whole life I hid my sickness from even friends. I didn't want anybody to know that I was sick. And I did everything that I could to make sure that I was good at every sport that I played, because I wanted to be known for that. I didn't want to be known as the sick guy. So again, right or wrong, I did hide that for a number of years, and even some of my closest friends didn't know. What this process taught me, though, is that friends and coworkers are there for you. I became pretty transparent, and I let the people that were close to me know what was going on. All of my close friends that I knew would support me knew about this whole condition and this process that I was going through. I do want to thank my coworkers at Grundy County Memorial Hospital, because those people were very, very supportive through this whole process. The guys in the maintenance department who I talked to every day, they would always go out of their way to ask me, how was your treatment today? How are you feeling? How are things looking for the transplant? What's that going to be like? It was pretty overwhelming because I knew that people cared about what I was going through, and they were incredibly supportive, close friends and coworkers both. And I'm not going to single out anyone in particular. You all know who you are. But I can't thank you people enough for always checking in on me and making sure that I was okay. And even though I'm not known for asking for help, every single person did offer to do whatever I needed to make sure that I was supported. And even though I didn't ask for much, just know that that really, really was welcome. I can't express that enough. And I want to thank each and every one of you for that. I don't know how I could have gotten through all of this without the support from all of you. And quite honestly, that is what really helped me get through this whole process. I knew that people were pulling for me and praying for me, and they were all a part of that successful outcome that I had. Now, post-transplant, my initial feeling about that was, this is the start of something good. I'm going to feel good, and I know it's going to take a lot of work, but I'm going to get back to the former version of myself. And I knew that I was going to make it. And again, post-transplant, I had a lot of support from everybody checking in. I had people visiting and making sure that I was doing okay at home. And that was great, because that just told me that, everybody cares and everybody wants to see me do well. And I feel like now I owe it to those people to make sure that I do whatever I can to get myself back to being healthy, or my version of being healthy. And I want to make sure that I succeed at this, because I want to show everybody that their support helped me to do that. I think right now I feel good about my future. I think that I'm going to be able to do this. I think I'm going to be able to conquer this. And I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that I keep this kidney alive. Primarily through, staying healthy, staying active, and making sure that I keep on top of my medication regimen to the letter. That's got to be the most important thing, because if I miss any doses of the anti-rejection medications, that kidney's going to take a little bit of a hit. And over time, those hits add up, and you could drastically shorten the life of your kidney if you don't maintain that medication regimen and keep on a very, very strict schedule. And I plan to do that. So as I sit here, it's March 23rd, so I am just a little over a month post-transplant, and I go in tomorrow to have the stent removed. I don't think any of you really want to know how that process works, but it doesn't sound like it's a very fun thing to have to go through. Luckily, I'll be under this time, unlike when I had my access port removed. Should be a lot easier surgery than that one was. So I plan to go back to work on March 27th if the surgeon says it's okay. And if not, I'll take an extra week and then go back in April. I'm still going to take it easy and make sure that I'm not lifting anything heavier than 10 pounds. But my plan is to eventually get back to working out the way I was, obviously easing into it and not, going at it like I'm a 25-year-old bodybuilder once again. I know my limitations now, and I know that I need to take it easy going in because of the risk of having a hernia at the surgery site. So that's my plan. So just to review a little bit, this whole process taught me a lot about mental fortitude and the power of positive thinking. It was not always that way. I mean, I was at the depths of depression quite a few times. I have to be honest about that. It was a roller coaster. I really struggled with the treatments. I really struggled with, early on, what my future might be like. Even when I was watching TV and I had my port in my chest for the dialysis treatments, I would watch TV and say, wow, these people are healthy. They're running around in all these adventure shows and doing all these things. And it even got to the point where I would look at somebody on TV and say, wow, they're just wearing a t-shirt. That must be nice. And the reason for that is this port that I had in my chest, it stuck out quite a bit. So it was very noticeable if I was just wearing a shirt like this. So what I ended up doing was wearing really loose clothing like sweatshirts, and I would wear vests over whatever shirt I was wearing to make sure that I was hiding that as best I could. Lucky for me, this all took place over the winter time, so it was pretty easy to, dress in this loose, heavy clothing to hide that. But I was very self-conscious about that. I'm not afraid to admit that. Now that it's out, I am happy to be wearing just normal clothes like I used to, and I don't feel self-conscious about that anymore. The only thing I do feel self-conscious about is the way I look now. I went from weighing 148, being very well built through hard work, to only weighing about 123 as I sit here. But I also know that that's a temporary thing. Yeah, I did lose a lot of muscle. I did lose a lot of water, which is good. But I know that the way I work in the gym is going to help me get back on that path to getting back to where I was. I'm not afraid of the hard work, and now that I feel good, it's going to actually work for me. I'll be more motivated to go to the gym because I know that what I'm doing now it has a purpose. And my body will be able to rebuild itself when I am breaking down that muscle in the gym. And I think I'll be able to come back from this stronger than ever, both mentally and physically. So again, I'm not afraid of the hard work. I, at this point, just say bring it on. So I hope that gave you a little insight on some of the thoughts and the feelings that I was going through during my sickness. And again, I want to thank everyone for their support through this whole thing. You all know who you are, and I can't express how much that meant to me, because it was one of the things that really got me through this and kept me positive, even if I was a negative person at that time. I know I hid my sickness well. I put on a good front most of the time, but even people at work knew that I wasn't quite myself, and that was when I knew that it was time to be transparent and let people know what was going on. And that was, quite honestly, pretty liberating for me, because being that transparent opened the door to let people be able to help me. And it's just something that I'm not used to. So again, thanks to everybody, and I wish everyone watching this video good health. I will see you in another video. Thanks for watching.